Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Sean's Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you tuning in today. Today, we're talking Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I had planned on seeing this in the theater when it came out last year. Um, didn't do it. I did the first movie quite a while back. I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. I didn't dislike the first movie. I didn't think it was amazing, but it was good. And so yeah, this one I planned on trying to get at the theater and then, come and do something, and it just never did work out. Finally, did watch the film. Was at a friend's house and they were watching it, so I checked it out and then watched it again a couple of days ago to get ready for this. And so that's what we're talking about today: Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Tagline for this film: "You there?" I'm like, okay, whatever, interesting. Brief synopsis for this one: 1 year since a supernatural nightmare at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the stories about what transpired have been twisted into a campy local legend, inspiring the town's first ever Faz Fest. With the truth kept from her, Abby sneaks out to reconnect with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, setting into motion a terrifying series of events that will reveal dark secrets about the real origin of Freddy's and unleash a decade's hidden horror. Film released December 5th of 2025, directed by Emma Tammy, written by Scott Cawthorn, runtime of 104 minutes, budget of somewhere between 36 and 51 million dollars, box office 239.6 million. So did incredibly well at the box office. Cast for this one: Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Lale, Piper Rubio, Freddie Carter, and Matthew Lillard. Let's stop there. Cast and characters for this one. I don't remember. I should have gone back and listened to my review of the first one, because watching this film, uh, not that anyone does a bad job. I feel like everyone's fine in their performances. I just don't think I really care a whole lot about any of these characters. I feel like that's something that's I've run into a lot lately with some horror movies. It's just, again, not that I dislike any of them. They're all just very mid characters, in my opinion. I don't really find myself 100% behind any of them. Abby, the little girl, of course, she's fine, and we want to see her be okay. So she's probably the one we care about the most. But the rest of the characters in this film, I mean, how many times can we? I think her name's Vanessa. How many times do we let go what Vanessa's done in her past? I mean, she obviously feels bad for it, but she keeps hiding things from people. And again, maybe that's understandable, but if you care about these people, I don't know. It just feels like it's repetitive that what keeps happening with her causes me to not be a huge fan of her. Um, our main guy, Mike, I think is his name. I mean, he's okay, but he's not like amazing either. Uh, so yeah, it's just, in a movie, I need to be either a huge fan of the villain and just want to see the villain kill people, or I need to be a huge fan of the victims here and want them to fight and survive and get through. And I just don't find myself feeling that way about these characters. Like I said, I feel like I've run into that a lot in the past couple of months, and so I probably sound like a broken record. But I mean, they're fine. Everybody does a good job. Again, I don't think it's anyone doing a bad job as far as their performance. I just don't find these characters that likable. But at the same time, the villains here, the animatronics, they're okay. I mean, it's fine. Having not been someone who played this video game, and I think I said this when I reviewed the first movie, um, the first time I heard of Five Nights at Freddy's, I had never heard of the video game. I had never heard of any of these characters. I was in a store somewhere. I think I was with my brother, and we were looking at like some collectible type stuff. And one of the employees came up and said something about they just got new Five Nights at Freddy's merchandise in, and you got to check it out. The Freddy is so cool. And I'm thinking, Five Nights at Freddy's, like, what the hell is that? Like, I didn't know Freddy Krueger had like a Five Nights at Freddy's. Is this something new that I don't know anything about? I mean, that's who I thought he was talking about. So, having not been someone who was familiar with this game, who played this game, maybe that's what somewhat hurts the films, just because they don't have that for me. Whereas I feel like a lot of people that did play the game that I've heard talk about the movies really enjoy the movies. Um, and I'm not saying that you have to have played this game to be a fan of these movies, but I think it probably does hurt me a little bit because I just don't care, and that's unfortunate. But um, the movie looks fine. I mean, the cinematography is good. The score is I'm sure it's fine. I don't really remember much about it, a couple of days later, but I'm sure it did what it was supposed to do. But whatever. And the story, the story's somewhat interesting. Again, the first movie, I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. Like I said, I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good. It was entertaining. This one, I feel like, does accomplish some of the things that it needed to, and we'll probably talk about that here in a few moments and the production notes and things. But it was maybe a little scarier. I can see where they changed a few things up a little bit, but even then, I don't know. It's fine. There's some things about this movie that I don't like, and yeah, we'll get into that when we walk through the plot, or maybe I'll be able to better explain it that way. But all right, let's talk about the production notes real quick. Just a few things. In 2018, creator Scott Cawthorn stated that if the first film was a success, that there could be a second film based on the events of the second game. So apparently they've been planning a sequel, back even after, or there were thoughts of the sequel even back before the first movie had, really produced much yet. Matthew Lillard stated that the production crew tried to address fan feedback from the first film to include more action and jump scares. I guess I can see that. There might be a little bit more in here. I do feel like this film had a slightly scarier tone than that first film, so that's a plus. But let's get into the plot. We'll start walking through it a little bit, and we'll go over the things I liked and didn't like about this one. So we open up in 1982. We meet young Charlotte Emily, who witnesses a boy get lured into the back room at a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And apparently this is the original location. Despite protests she tries to talk to parents. They don't seem to help any. Her friend Vanessa is there, whom we know. And despite protests by Vanessa, Charlotte enters into the back room and is able to save the boy, but she ends up being stabbed herself. She then falls through a trap door and is caught and held by the marionette animatronic. And that's our opening scene. Again, fine. It's a decent scene. This Charlotte girl, she sees what's going on. She tries to help. The parents ignore her. The parents in this movie suck. I can't imagine, in a place that's primarily for children, I can't imagine adults acting this way, but I guess they do. So, I thought that was a little whatever, because these parents all suck. And then, of course, we know that Vanessa was, I don't want to say responsible for, but did play a part in some of these things for quite some time. So, we're not surprised that she's protesting Charlotte trying to go save this kid. And then we get, Charlotte getting killed and falling into this creepy looking marionette thing's arms. So, it's a fine opening scene. Not bad, not great or mind blowing, but it was fine. From there, we do come back now to current time. We see our reoccurring characters from the first film, Vanessa and Mike. They're talking on the phone, planning what seems to be a date, but they're not really calling it a date. Abby also returning. She's off to school. We find out there's this big festival going on called Faz Fest, based again a lot on, like we talked about in the synopsis, the stories that have gone on, which I also think is a little hard to believe. I don't think, I know we have all kinds of festivals based on all kinds of things, and there's horror festivals and things like that out there, so I get it. I don't think we would have a festival if some kids really got killed. So that's, again, you have to suspend disbelief for horror. I completely understand that, and 99% of the time I can. This movie, I'm just like, really? I don't know. There's just something about this story early on here that's bothering me a little bit, because I'm just not buying a lot of this. We also see Abby telling kids about what had happened, and they don't really they're fascinated by the stories, but don't really seem to believe her. We see Abby in a science class, and she's talking with her teacher about the science fair and robots, and he doesn't think Abby is going to be able to have a good project, so he's going to remove her from the science project. We find out that Abby is really missing her friends, these ghostly friends that were in the animatronics from the first film. We get the dinner date between Vanessa and Mike, and Vanessa talking about having bad dreams about her dad. While they're on this date, Abby then goes to the pizzeria to try and fix the animatronics herself. We know that she keeps asking Mike to do so, and he keeps having reasons why he can't. So she just decides to go fix the animatronics herself. But once she gets there, she realizes that her friends are no longer there. Mike ends up then showing up to get her. They talk. He apologizes. but they do end up finding this toy called a fast talker, and he lets Abby take that. Again, there's a lot going on here that I was just having a hard time getting on board with early. I thought the idea of this town having this Faz Fest, which again, this being something that, and again, it's a movie, I get it. But I just can't imagine a town having this big celebration over something where a lot of kids died. Like, it just doesn't make, the story doesn't make sense to me. And then the ghostly friends seem to be all gone. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's yeah. Early on in this film, through these first couple of sections, I'm like, okay, this is okay, but this is not any better than the first film, and I'm just not buying it. So I'm struggling a little bit here at this point. From there, we do get, I think, what's kind of a cool scene, and where some of the first maybe real scares come into play for this film, as we get these ghost hunters, Lisa, Alex, and Rob, who show up at the original location, back where we had the scene from 1982. There's a security guard there named Michael, who is kind of letting them take a tour and do their ghost hunting thing in there. Lisa keeps hearing this music. She ends up finding and deactivating this music box, but that seems to awaken the marionette, which we find out has been possessed by Charlotte's spirit. Animatronics seem to come to life and kill Alex and Rob. We also get a cut there of Vanessa struggling with more visions of her dad and nightmares. Abby gets a message on the fast talker from what she thinks is her friend Chica, but it turns out to be a different Chica asking for help. Thinking that's her friend, Abby then is led to the original location by Chica. This scene is better. I do feel like I said, we got some creepiness here. The marionette is creepy. And I thought there were a few more maybe scare type things happening here. So I was like, okay, we're picking up a little bit. This is getting a little better. Still not fully on board with the overall story, but I did like this. I thought this was a fun scene. Thought this was a good scene, and I thought, okay, maybe this is going to turn around and things are going to pick up from here. Vanessa goes to see Mike again. Abby ends up showing her science project that she says Chica helped her make. Mike then confronts Vanessa because Mike has found out the truth about Vanessa and Charlotte, and Vanessa being somewhat responsible for Charlotte's death. Vanessa is concerned about Abby and trying to talk to Mike about that, but Mike is just very frustrated with Vanessa. Vanessa goes back to this original restaurant. She discovers that this marionette has been awakened, and Vanessa gets captured by a possessed Lisa, who the marionette possessed when she was there and did the thing with the music box, that kind of thing. We then cut to the science fair where Abby shows up with her project, but the teacher, not wanting Abby to be involved and not happy with the whole Faz Fest thing himself, ends up breaking her project. So Abby's devastated now. She leaves and goes back and goes to that original location. Chica gets Abby to then, we find out that they need some kind of safeguard disabled so that the animatronics can actually leave this location, and Chica convinces Abby to do so. And then Chica goes to the science fair with Abby. Mike goes to see, as he's still finding out about all of this stuff, he ends up going to see Charlotte's dad, played by Skeet Ulrich, so we get the appearance from him here. Mike learns about the original location, and then he gets a phone call finding out that Abby is not at school. Charlotte's dad, Henry, ends up giving Mike a music box to give to Charlotte. Mike goes to the location. We cut back to the science fair then, and we get a kind of a fun kill where Chica ends up killing this teacher after what he's done to Abby. Mike is able to, back at the location, Mike is able to free Vanessa. We find out Charlotte's stuck in a rage. Like, she's now, this whole marionette thing because of the way the parents ignored her in this opening scene. And so she's angry at the parents. This music box apparently kept her asleep, but because Lisa opened it up, she's free now to do what she wants to do. Vanessa goes to try to look for these animatronics. Mike stays behind to try to use a computer to track them down. And then we kind of get some scenes here of, the animatronics attacking different parents and attacking Vanessa. We get, I think, some really silly scenes where the animatronics keep almost popping up and attacking Mike, but he puts a mask on and they suddenly believe he's an animatronic, which I also thought was silly. I just don't think it works, but again, it's fine. They finally do end up attacking Mike, but he is still able to disable the signal, causing all of those animatronics to stop and the other ones to stop as well. So it appears that everything is safe. But they then discover that one is still moving, that the marionette is now inside Chica, that's possessed Abby, and so Mike goes to the back to the restaurant the restaurant from the original film, and begs the possessed animatronics to come help Abby. Doesn't seem to get a response from what we see, but that's what he's trying to do. Back at Mike's house, we see Abby, who is now possessed, attack Vanessa. Mike is able then to show up with this music box that he got from Henry and put Charlotte back to sleep, which frees Abby. The toy animatronics, though, seem to come back now. They get their signal back and they surround them. And just when we think these toy animatronics are going to kill them, and we also see Michael arrive, the security guard from the opening scene. We find out he's Vanessa's brother. He's wanting to carry on their father's legacy, and he orders the toys to, basically kill Mike and Vanessa and Abby. But the possessed animatronics from the first film, they arrive, they end up destroying the toys, and then immediately afterwards, their safeguards cause them to shut down because they weren't made to leave Freddy's. The spirits enter the afterlife, but they warn Mike that they won't be able to hold him back anymore. Mike, upset with Vanessa after everything, tells her to stay away because he no longer trusts her. And we see Michael, the brother, the security guard, escape. And then as everyone else leaves, Vanessa ends up being possessed by Charlotte. And we get a mid-credit scene where we find Matthew Lillard's character, William, that his body is found and that the animatronic that he's in is beginning to activate. Very quick run through, I know, but that's pretty much it. Let me talk about the problems I had then with these next group of scenes, because for the first half of the movie, wasn't buying the story. Not, like I said, fully behind most of the characters, was kind of struggling. Moments I thought had potential, but overall was struggling with the film. As we get into the second half of this movie and we find Mike going to, meet Henry, Charlotte's dad, and we kind of find out what's going on here. Story improves a little bit. The science fair scene is fun where we see Chica kill this teacher, for what he was doing. Mike then showing up and being able to save Vanessa and us finding out what's going on with Charlotte and why these things are happening. The scene where, again, I thought the scene was silly as far as Mike trying to track these signals, but the animatronics watching him and almost getting him a few times until he puts the mask on. Thought that was silly, but I was enjoying the attack scenes where the animatronics were attacking parents and trying to get Vanessa. I thought these were fun scenes. So I was really back and forth with this movie. 1 minute, I'm like, it's just okay. And then the next time I'm like, oh, that was actually pretty cool. I kind of like that. Much like I was with the first film. Then the whole signal gets disabled. Now, here when we get towards the end of this film and we find Abby getting possessed, I didn't expect that. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool that they went this route with it. I don't know how they're going to get out of it, but this is pretty cool that this is what we've done now. Mike going back to the restaurant from the first film and asking these possessed spirits to help. I think it shows how desperate he is at this point to try to get things going on. And then the scene back at Mike's house where Abby's attacking Vanessa, but Mike shows up with this box, and then we find out this Michael character is Vanessa's brother. Decent plot twist, but again, just causes me to like Vanessa left because there continues to be things that she doesn't tell Mike. I did think the scene was fun though, where just when it looks like these toy animatronics are about to kill them, the animatronics in the first film that are possessed return and save them. I thought that was cool, but then they're immediately disabled. And I was like, well, that was kind of a letdown. They show up just long enough to save the day, and now they're all done. I was like, that was disappointing. Like I thought we were about to have something. I mean, I get it. They've saved the day somewhat, but then just to wipe them out and, basically now they can't help anymore as the spirits go, you're like, well, okay, I mean, that was fun, but now we're just going to take them out. I don't know. Something about that bothered me, that we had them show up as heroes and then we immediately wiped them out. But again, after being a little let down here, the fact that now Vanessa gets possessed, I thought was a cool route to go as well. So I really feel like this movie, for me to rate this, is so difficult because I feel, the first one I gave a 7. And I almost feel like I might have been a bit generous. Thinking about that now, I look back and I'm like, you know what, that might have been more of a 6. I think I gave it a 7 at the time, but if I had to go back and watch it again, I think I would probably give it more of a 6 instead of a 7. And so then I watched this one, and there's some moments I enjoy. There's some moments that I think are fun. As I mentioned, I think there's a few more scares in this one than there are in the original. like I said, there's some fun scenes that happen, but then I just don't like this story as much either, with just the way everything gets set up. I don't like some of the decisions that are made. I don't feel like overall it's solid. There are parts of it that are more fun than the first one, but then overall I don't know that it's as solid a film as the first one. So I think for me, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, on my scale of 1 to 10, is really going to be a very middle of the road movie. Maybe this is just not the franchise for me. That being said, I'm sure when the third one comes out, I'll probably check it out since I've watched the other two. But I'm going to have very low expectations, I think, at this point for it. Yeah, 5 out of 10, right in the middle, pretty average, basic horror film as far as I'm concerned. So that's my thoughts. Now I want to know what you think. Are you a bigger fan of this franchise than I am? Do you like this movie better than the original? Less than? Did you not like the original? I I've said it a million times. One of my favorite things about doing this is finding out what other people's thoughts on these movies are. So please let me know what you think about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and what you think so far about this franchise. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I've got some fun episodes coming up in just a couple of days. I will be reviewing. Gosh, I've got to look at the exact title again. Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round, a Screenbox production that'll be coming out. I'll be talking about that in just a couple of days. Later this week, I have a live with Brendan from Our Life in Horror. He and I have gone through the Candyman franchise. He's going to be back on my channel now for us to do a live on Thursday night where we talk about this franchise, where we rank these 4 movies, and we're going to have a special guest. Just talked to someone last night that's also going to come on and talk about this franchise with us, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll just keep that a secret as to who it is, but it's going to be fun. So that'll be a lot of fun to do. And then I have an episode with Getting Off, my friend from there that has been on a couple of times, and I'm looking forward to him coming back. He was recently on with me and talked about Night of the Living Dead, and he's gonna come on with me and talk about the first Wrong Turn movie. He and I are going to go through the Wrong Turn franchise, so we'll be starting with that. That's all coming this week. A lot of other fun stuff coming in, in the very near future. So subscribe so you don't miss anything. Again, leave me some comments, hit the like button, hit the hype button, share the video, follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything there is out there. So, share the links, help me build this channel up and continue to get it to grow. I do appreciate that and the support and all so much. Thank you again for watching. I will see you soon.